Well, we're live. Welcome, everyone to the Smart Homemakers Show. This is Gio, your host, and we have a special guest today. We have Aaron. How are you, buddy? So you've got a channel on YouTube called Make It Work, and he's today going to tell us all about it, all about his projects, current projects. You got to have a lot of videos to watch on his channel later, and you got to put in your watch later list because there are quite a few good ones that I spotted at least. But yeah, huge big welcome to everyone. Hope you can hear me fine and you can see me fine. And yeah, what else to say? Let's bring on the guest. Over to you. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. So we were just chatting previously, just talking about how I actually bumped into your channel. I actually found it. So one of the videos is around the free kiosk mode, but actually today you dropped a new video, right?
Yes, yeah.
Do you want to talk to us about that?
Sure, yeah. So my latest video was all about different smart buttons that work with Home Assistant. And I pretty much bought 10 different smart buttons and was just comparing them all to show you, which ones are the best and how easy they were to integrate, how easy they were to use, and just kind of comparing their features, kind of with keeping price in mind. Because it seems like most smart homers when they're starting, it's like budget. What's the cheapest? And then later on you want to spend a little bit more to get exactly what you want. But first you got to start with cheap. So kind of kept that in mind, and hopefully it'll help some people who are new with Home Assistant like I am. And yeah, so.
So you got to give us a new, fresh perspective because some other guys have been around a bit more, because it changes a lot, right? So we might have made videos that were a couple of years old now, right? But someone with a new channel coming in will actually give the latest information, right?
Yeah, it seems like Home Assistant has changed so much. I feel like I'm like a new guy in the Home Assistant community because I see people talking about Home Assistant before there was Loveless Dashboard, which I'm not even sure if I don't know what that looks like before that. So yeah, it seems like it's changed a lot, especially just since I started using it. And I think there's a whole new wave of people that are coming to it that it seemed too complicated before, but now it's not. So I think that those people could use a fresh set of dedicated videos, tutorials to show people, what it's capable of. And it's not just for the programmer. I mean, I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm not a software developer, and I could do it. So anyone should be able to do it.
Well, mechanical engineer sounds like a smart guy, right?
Doesn't sound software, like though.
I know. Oh, well, it's true. Sometimes it's even difficult for software developers, right? So let's start giving a few shout outs to a couple of people who join us. Few people join us today. We have Malcolm from Malta. We have Gunnar from Norway. Let's see, Kim. Hi, Kim from Denmark. Well, there's myself. I was going to actually put myself because I said welcome. Petter from Norway, and probably I'm mispronouncing a few names and apologize. Will from Phoenix, USA, and we have Rui from Portugal so far. So if you just joined the live stream, we are here today to chat about Home Assistant, smart home tech, whatever we really fancy. And we have here my special guest, Aaron from Make It Work. And we're gonna just keep chatting. We started talking about buttons. Let me know what buttons you're using. You tested at least 10 buttons, right? In
10
your video.
Buttons,
Yeah. So I'm quite curious, right? I'm gonna start asking you some questions about how long did it actually take you to do it, right? Did you just have the 10 buttons already, or did you start from scratch and say, well, let me just buy the buttons? How did that work?
So what I did was, how I always buy most of my tech is Amazon. So I went on and I just looked on Amazon, looked for smart buttons, and I did some research to see, whatever other people are using, what smart buttons are out there. And I just bought them all. And there was one, the Shelly button, that I couldn't get on Amazon. I ended up getting at Walmart. .com, but everything else it was here in a couple of days. But I was trying to keep it simple so that most of the stuff is on Amazon, and hopefully people can get it. And there's a few buttons I wanted to get that aren't on Amazon, like but the IKEA. There's an IKEA smart button. I couldn't find that on Amazon, so I didn't include that. I wish I could have, but yeah, just how it goes.
Yeah, it's funny because last week I went to IKEA. And I went to IKEA, and there's all sorts of things. And I didn't even think about the smart aspects of it because we were going there for other reasons. And then I went into the lamps, with all the lamps and the lights. And I guess it's all the same in every country, IKEA. So I go in there and I get this, and I look, there's a button, there's a smart button. It was like £6. It was like in clearance. In clearance here is like discount. In the UK, we say clearance, right? Well, anyway, so I said, let me pick it up. And I thought, well, I'm sure this is going to work easy. And I get home and I had half an hour, to play with this button before dinner was ready, And then I paired it and I couldn't get it to pair like you. I was trying to reset it 10 times with a pin. That wasn't working. And then I paired it to Home Assistant. And I figured out I needed a blueprint because it wasn't going to work out of the box. And I was like, And then basically time was up. I didn't have enough time anymore. So I sort of half done the project, left it there, and then I had to pick it up later in the evening, right? Because it's one of those things, like if it takes you more than half an hour to set it up, it's like there's a risk that you just abandon it and you say, you know what, I'm not bothered about this button anymore. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I tell you what, the buttons should be straightforward, should be simple, and that's why I think the Aqara button, the Xiaomi Aqara buttons, I mean, they're huge because they're super easy. No blueprint. You just press the reset button or the pairing button, and that's it. And it works. They look good. They come with the adhesive backing. I mean, it's hard to beat a button that works right out of the box. Yeah. And some of these other buttons that would be so great, but they have to have a blueprint, and really that comes down to I guess the ZHA developers, they have to put some time into getting that button to work properly with Home Assistant. But in the meantime, you just got to go with whatever's easiest, I guess, because half an hour is too long.
For sure. Okay, so we have a few people who dropped in a few comments. HD from Germany. And we have a first question today from Gunnar, actually quite good question around, do we actually need buttons and do we not automate stuff? So why did you get all these buttons and not automate stuff?
Yeah, I think, one of the pillars of a good smart home is that you have a manual way to do something. And that the biggest thing, honestly, was we had our fourth kid in December. And
Congratulations.
Thank you. And my mother came and she was visiting and helping out with, helping my wife out and stuff. And she was getting annoyed because there's no way to manually turn on some smart bulbs. And I was like, this cannot happen. There has to be a way to always manually. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously, in a perfect smart home, everything's perfectly automated. But when it comes down to guests, or even my wife, sometimes she just wants to be able to, physically touch something and the lights come on. So for those reasons, smart buttons, I don't think are ever going to go away.
Yeah, and I like that in the video that and there's a link to his channel. There's a link in the description, and if you want to jump on and open it on in a different tab, you can actually see what I'm talking about. But in your latest video, I like that you compared the single buttons versus the multi buttons, right? But in my opinion, the single buttons are not really that intuitive, apart from a single double tap and hold press. How would you know what is what, right? So let's say one tap is on, two taps is another light, and holding is the third light. You wouldn't know, right, unless you sort of train people to say, this is one tap is this. And what do you think about that? I'm not convinced about the single buttons too much.
It's hard. I feel like you need to have a manual that people read in order to use it. So you have to make it very intuitive. Otherwise, it's like just yesterday, my wife was asking about, is it 2 taps or 3 for some lights in our house? And I'm like, probably should fix that so you don't have to ask that. But it gets a little complicated. I think the Fabaro button was that plunger style. Actually, this one.
Right? This one. Oh, you got it there. There you go.
I got it right here. So this one, that goes up to 5 taps. And it's like, that's too much. I mean, it's cool, but it's just no one wants to press that 5 times. So
Because you'll forget, right? You go do.
How many was that? Yeah. So
Yeah, because if you get it wrong, it does action number 4, right? And depending what action number 4 is, you like imagine someone was sleeping in that room and 4 turns on another room, and you know whatever you're bothering them.
Oops. Yeah.
So for me, more multi-buttons sounds the way to go. And I like the idea around labels, printing labels out to actually make it crystal clear what is what. So people will come in and I was thinking print like a vacuum symbol, like the robo vacuum, put it on one of the buttons and put it there. And then someone wants to start the robo vacuum, they can just tap it like a guest, like you say, or whoever, right, comes in.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the way to go. I mean, being able to tap it is always a plus, and I think that's where those dashboards, Home Assistant dashboards comes in. I mean, that's how the primary way that our robotic vacuum is started in our house is using a dashboard. So those are a good alternative as well.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so Grant mentioned the 6-gang Akara for me. So 6-gang, the one that you use, I know you did an Akara one in the video. Was 6-gang?
No, I never used that. In fact, I've never even seen that one. I don't know if that's available on Amazon, but that may be Europe that it's available. I'm not sure.
You're saying that in Europe we have something that you don't have in the US.
So. I think Akara has
that'll be a first time, right? Normally it's the other way around.
I think Akara has a lot of stuff that, like they may even have smart switches, like the in-wall smart switches, for the European style box where you don't apply here. But
yeah, just Google it. Yeah, indeed. I can see it. Never seen it before. I'm gonna certainly put it in my list of things to check out in the future.
Cool.
In the meantime, we have also Sebastian, we dropped from Germany, dropped by. So we talked a lot about buttons, but your channel is not just about smart buttons, right?
No. Yeah, I mean, really, it's really about just if I have a cool Home Assistant project, I want to show people. And I really was just in general, if I have a cool smart home project. But once I discovered Home Assistant, it's all Home Assistant. It's like anything I can move to Home Assistant, I will. But I like to share my projects. I think there's a huge community of people who like to see new ideas and new projects. And I like to hear them. I mean, I love smart home discussions. I'm really active on Reddit because of that. There's always cool new ideas to try. And I think it's awesome that there's a community that's so into it.
So I guess the question that everyone asks newcomers is why, there's so many videos out there already. Why did you start a channel? Why?
Yeah, really I started a channel because some of the videos I was using to like get started looking at Home Assistant were a little bit outdated, right? And I think it was like, oh, this is not quite how it works, or this is not all how it works. So I wanted to, hey, let me share newest stuff. And also I just think, sharing projects, it's cool that you can put out a video. Anyone can do it. You don't need anything fancy to do it. You can put out a video showing something cool that you've done, and other people can see it, give them ideas. I think it's just cool to show everyone else what you got. And I wish more people would do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of space in it, and I have to say, for I enjoyed the videos. The videos are well shot, and so where did you learn that? Was it something that you already knew how to do these videos, or?
No, as a kid, me and some of my buddies made movies. So, but I wasn't the camera guy, but just like little fun movies. But so I kind of just learned, and watching other people's videos kind of sees, oh, that's a cool shot. I should try that. Some of the really big YouTubers like MKBHD, he has some really cool shots, and it's like, I know he's got robots and stuff, but it's just little shots. I think improve the video, and you're limited by technology to a certain extent, but what kind of camera you have and stuff. But most of my videos all smartphone. Only more recently did I actually get, more recently did I get actual an actual camera that can take decent video. You don't need much. You really don't. I mean, there's some people who they only use like an iPhone 11 or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's every video I watch my videos and I see I did that wrong. Next video it's gonna be better, and try to improve.
Yeah, I mean, you guess we can, you could be overly harsh with yourself a lot of the times, but hey, important thing, if you're helping out someone out in the community, then that's great. But let's, got picked up a question. Just on the last point about the buttons, Gunnar saying from China, Ali or Banggood. Yeah. So the actual name is Akara Opal is the right name of the product. Okay. So it's an interesting one to check out. So Sebastian is saying, what is your ranking in sensors for a smart home? From absolutely necessary to have to, so you're saying to nice to have to really necessary, right? So we can spin it either way. So I'm thinking motion sensors, contact sensors, things like that, right? Sensors in general, no specific brands, right? What do you think?
I mean, contact sensors are the biggest to me. And it really depends on your situation. Like I have kids, and so some of the big things are, like I would consider needs are, leaving doors open. So contact sensors, and they're cheap. The batteries last a long time. And I think that contact sensor would be the biggest. And obviously temperature sensors are nice, but I haven't actually needed that many of those. I mean, I have thermostats, so I think contact sensors are the biggest, and there's so many ways you can use them. I mean, I have contact sensors mounted with using like on my garage doors. So I have a garage door sensor, and every single door in my house, the external door, I should say. But I think they're just huge. You walk, open a door, a light comes on. That's one less thing you have to do. You don't even have to think about it. I mean, I open my garage door, lights on. Don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. And I think the battery point, because the doors don't open that frequently like motion, so they don't drain, right? There's less activity on them. What about motion sensors? Are you a fan of motion sensors?
I mean, I have a few of them. I have those Akara motion sensors. I have a few of them around the house. And I mean, they're okay. I don't use them a ton. I mean, I really don't. I probably should. But the best would be, lights come on when you walk into a room. But for me, I really don't always want them to come on. So I really don't use a ton of them. So some of the good things are, like, I can quick check to see, like, did the kids go outside or are they downstairs? I can just quickly, there's motion in the basement. Okay, they're downstairs. We're good. So when it comes to just a quick way to check things, that's how I use them. But yeah, motion sensors not too much. Now, there's a Zeus makes a motion and temperature and light all in one. That one's kind of handy because I have that in my kitchen, so I'm using it as a temperature sensor and motion. Okay. So it's like use it for multiple things at once. So those are kind of nice, but I don't use motion for a lot of different things. I don't know. Maybe other people do more than I do, but.
Yeah, there's interesting use case of a sensor in terms of the light. So normally motion sensors have light sensors in them, right? And one thing, this is a situation in my house. I have this window, and in the evening the sun hits it when it's sunny, and it hits this cabinet. And in the cabinet I have a NAS, right? And if you touch on that, and it's also a little bit of glass, and if you touch on it, it gets really boiling hot. Mm-hmm. So if I had that sensor of, if there's too much light and whatever, or the temperature is going too high in the cabinet, I could, if I don't have those, robotic curtains, but I was thinking, pull the curtains to actually prevent it from getting even hotter in the room, because we don't have aircon in the UK. Okay. So alternative would spin something to make it cool. And actually, if you do that, you can actually, if you knew when the sun was going to arrive, you could also close it before it actually got hot, which was like prevent it even further. Yeah, prevent it before it actually got hot. So close the curtains before it actually is gonna get too hot. So that's a neat use case I can suggest. I've a few sensors like vibration sensors Have you got vibration sensors? Do you use them?
I bought one, the Smart Things multi-purpose. I bought that because I wanted to do some automation with my laundry, like my laundry, washer and dryer machine. But then I ended up just using power monitoring to alert me when those cycles were done. So I really haven't used vibration. I mean, it's really hard for me to do, to use something like that when I have a lot simpler. For example, like that sensor I was mentioning that it has the light and the motion. I was going to use that and have that for telling me when my fridge was open. But you can just get a contact sensor, and that's it. So it's hard. Sometimes simpler is better. And then you got to figure out what's the vibration level you want to trigger it at. You get false triggers. So I don't have any vibration. I mean, I'm looking for reasons because I'll use one wherever I can. But
I give you a few. So there's a fun video I made about cookies because I'm doing this personal, this weight loss journey, whatever, right? And there is a cookie jar, and the cookie jar, by the shape of the cookie jar, you can't put a contact sensor on it. Some cabinets have, this was a jar, right? So if you stick a vibration sensor on the back of the lid, when you lift it up, you could then use that as an action. That's cool. That could trigger. I had like a Google, saying, your allocated amount of cookies is ended and whatever, right? It was more like a prank, more like a joke rather than actual really useful. But things like that. But when I looked at vibration sensors, it's not like when you can't use the contact sensor because you don't have that physical, angle to put it on.
Yeah.
You would put the vibration sensor either in. Sometimes you have a jewelry box, right? Or something that you're afraid someone's touching. You don't want people to, or like a drawer that you can't really put a contact sensor on. And you put the vibration in so if someone's opened it or closed it.
Yeah, and I think some of the vibration ones also have the tilt sensor, and that's awesome. I actually have a project coming up. I'm going to be doing the classic mailbox, smart mailbox. I'm going to have I'm going to have a little display that pops up on my my kiosk, my dashboard that there's mail. So a tilt sensor, you can put it right on I don't know what kind of mailbox styles you guys have, but we have ones that have like a door in the front that tips down. So
right.
Vibration or tilt, and that'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that I think that would be quite cool. I give you guys a use case with water sensor. So there's a video I made around the Sonos Roam, and it's like waterproof, right? And you can have it in a shower. So what you could do is, if you had a playlist, a radio station that you want to play, as soon as water is sensed from the shower, you can automatically, play music, right? And I thought that was actually cool, and I find that quite fun. The problem for me was because if someone takes a shower and someone else is sleeping, you don't want to trigger music every single time you're taking a shower. Maybe not, right? And this is where it becomes difficult when you have these automations. You're trying to balance between things happening automatically and then something you don't actually want it to happen, right? I think you could have to prevent it from happening, right? Or stop it.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest problems I'm having, and it's more of a future project that I'm going to work on. It's not originally my idea. There's a YouTube channel, Smart Home Solver, and he just kind of mentioned that one of the things he has is a guest mode, where pretty much you can press a button and it toggles. It toggles your system into guest mode, and so it turns off the annoying automations. So there's just a condition, in your automation, so that if you're in guest mode, these automations won't run. So I'm thinking about implementing that because that would save a lot of headaches. If if you have guests, just press the button and then all these automations, don't have to worry about it. Especially if you're testing, you're testing automations, and then you have someone come or you can easily just turn off all the automations. So I might try that out.
There's so many things you find out after you've done them. You feel, there's this extra conditions that actually add. Actually, conditions start becoming bigger than the actual whole thing. Do this, but not in this case, and not in this case, and not in that case, not in that case.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Let's jump on to the next few comments. So Gunnar is saying a contact sensor on the bedroom window to tell me if the window is open when the electric heater turns on in the winter is very helpful. Yeah, so this is around being green, energy saving. This is actually quite useful. I actually have a Tado thermostat sensor, and that actually has built in a window is open sensor in the home assistant. It's not that accurate. It only picks it up when there's actually some wind. So it's not like instant you open the window and I get window is open. It's more like the sensor needs to feel the wind. Okay. That's what I imagine. It needs to feel the pressure changing. I don't know how it calculates it.
Interesting.
It's okay, but it's not as good as the contact sensor on the window. I think that's like the best you can get, because that's very accurate.
Yeah. I find there's just no end to uses of contact sensors. I mean, can't beat them. And you can replace the small part of the contact sensor is just a magnet, so you can put any color magnet you want and really slim it down.
Well, you should do a top 10 contact sensors, right?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
All right. So Rui, he's saying these days we see a lot of wireless smart home devices out there. Yeah, I agree. And what about wired sensors for new houses? There is a huge lack of wired devices in the market. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. The only issue I think with wired sensors is, okay, someone buys this house. With wireless, you just pull them off and it's good. But when it comes to selling the house, it's like, okay, now we have a problem. We have all these sensors. And I see posts on Reddit. People are like, what is this thing? And then someone tells them it's some wired sensor from like the early 90s. But yeah, there are definitely not too many wired sensors. And there are some cases where it would be nice to just have one wired, to easily wire one in. Wired contact sensors that you never have to think about. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of an economics answer here. It's like why they're not produced in the market, probably because there's more people retrofitting with wireless than people going and building new houses. So I think investment-wise, they feel they get more money out of building wireless components than wired. I'm a fan of wired for networking, for sure.
Yeah.
For sensors, there is a problem around range and interference. So you by having a lot of protocols in your house, you can create interference, and depending on how your house is constructed and all that sort of thing, that also could cause a problem. The difficult thing is to actually know where to put them. That's what I would say. If you're thinking to wire them fixed in a place, what happens then if you want to move that motion sensor? Say you want to move it to some other place because for some reason it picks up motions. You can't move it once you wired it, right? So it could be problematic.
Yeah, I think when if you're targeting people who maybe are newer or not electricians, wiring is not something people want to do. And it's like if you could just sell them something that's wireless, they don't only have to think about once every 6 months or once a year.
Yeah,
better.
Yeah. And the follow-up message was, I can understand that's easier to sell wireless stuff, but there's a lot of advantage to use wired devices. I think there's also a problem about building regulations. I don't know how it is in Portugal, but in the UK, they're not a fan of having wires need to run in a certain way. And they can't run, like, you can't cut through a wall. If you go through a wall, you got to go through the electric. I'm not an electrician, I don't know for sure, but as far as I know, there are a lot of regulations and rules. And so with these cables, they would need to fit in, and they would need to run alongside, other cables like satellite, coax, Ethernet, power cable. So, but I love. I mean, if I was to build a house from scratch, I would look into it. I would just feel like it's the right thing to do is to wire it, because you feel that you have that one chance to wire it at the beginning when you build a home and you feel, I'm actually building a home, I want it all wired, and forget this Zigbee range thing. I get where you're coming from, but I haven't got experience with it. I do know that I've looked into several companies out there, which I'm not going to mention, but the company is based in the UK anyway, and they come in and they do the whole 9 yards. They just come in, they install it, they do everything for you, and they wire the whole system. But we're talking about a system that costs 50, 100,000 euros, right? So they come in, they wire everything, and a lot of it is around the planning, where to put things, and they interview you and interview the family and trying to know they're trying to predict what's your life going to be and how you could be living. You could go in a home and you're just newly married, and then you have 4 kids, and then life is different. So it's difficult to say.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a business in partnering with a new home builder and saying, hey, I'll put in the smart stuff, but you always have to have a redundant, physical option, manual for everything. But there may be a market there for partnering with home builders and saying, I'll make it smart for however much. But
yeah, it's shocking where I live. They're building what we call in the UK a garden city. So it's a new city, but with a lot of trees and parks, and they're calling it a garden city. And I'm living everything's a construction site. And all these new houses they're building, is shocking that they're not doing any smart stuff. Not even the basic, the wall sockets, just put them smart. At least give the customer the option to, upsell it to them, and just like put the Sonoff ones in, or whatever ones you want to put in, because they work fine and you can control them with your phone. Put a tablet on the wall, wire it up, run Home Assistant, run whatever you want, and people will pay a fortune for that.
Yeah, and I think when it comes
throw a few contact sensors right in, and you're good, right?
And I think with that new addition to Home Assistant with the power monitoring, I mean, you will save money. With a smart home, you will save money. And you think of how cheap, how inexpensive, how little energy, I guess, just plugging in a smart speaker uses, or plugging in your Home Assistant Blue or whatever it is, how little energy that uses, and it's turning off your lights at a certain time every day, and it's saving you money. And it will definitely, it should be factored in. Maybe the housing market's a little slow to catch on, but they ought to, because you could go into even commercial buildings, say, hey, I'm going to set you up. And I think maybe the only big issue would be privacy, and security concerns. With some of those, but it's an option.
Yeah, I'll look into it, and maybe in a future live I'll try bring in one of these big home builders, and let's try and get why they're not pushing this, because the more people have smart homes, the better it is for everyone, because then prices come down, because more people come in, there's going to be more options, and you can do videos like 10 top contact sensors, right? Because there are so many now to pick from, and a few years ago there weren't all these companies, all these sensors, right? And competition just means things get better for all of us.
For sure.
So yeah, Sebastian, no worries if you just smash that like button if you haven't already, and subscribe to both of our channels. That's awesome to see the feedback. Indeed, Rui, you're right. Unfortunately, wires are a niche, but let us know if there are anything you're planning for. Then we'll look into it. So he's talking about power over Ethernet. Gunnar saying he's talking to Rui, isn't the most possible wireless. So basically, my understanding is we could do most wireless apart from power over Ethernet. Have you got power over Ethernet devices?
I don't have any. My house was not fitted with. My house was built in the 70s, so no power over Ethernet. I would love, if I build a house, it's 100% going to have Ethernet run everywhere, because having data and power in one wire is huge. I mean, I'm even considering if I'm looking at buying a Raspberry Pi, and I think they have an add-on board or whatever it is where you can have power over Ethernet. That's the way to go. I mean, fewer cables the better. I mean, it's too bad my house was built as old as it was, because I would be. I'm looking at some PoE cameras too. I think PoE cameras would be nice.
Yeah, PoE cameras. I have some PoE cameras. PoE, obviously switches. There are PoE switches in the sense that they give out PoE, and other ones are powered through PoE. And also, I know that they do like things like obviously telephones, but I don't use them anymore. They're more for offices, the telephone stuff. PoE is a little bit confusing. There's quite a lot of standards depending on what power requirement you have. But yeah, you can't beat it. You can put, deploy things whatever you want without thinking about plugging them in, right? So it's a no-brainer. PoE is a no-brainer. What I would always say is the recommendation is to basically run as many cables as you can, because cables are cheap. And trying to put them in multiple locations, even if you don't actually terminate them, but if you just run the wires in places that you can then later drop them in and put them in, that's the advice, is run all the wires you can, label the wires so you don't go crazy. So when I bought this house, they ran Cat 5e all around the house. But then the problem was all the cables were not labeled. So there was basically, it was a guessing game of which one was which. And I was plugging things in to see which one was. I had to do my own mapping. Then I bought one of those. I bought a tester that, there's the beep, 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 beep. I could find which one is which. Oh man, nightmare. And this is professionally built, right? This wasn't built by someone. This is built by a professional company. So it's house by a builder, right? So you would expect that. Basics, standards is not great, but here you go. Let's move on. So Rui, so he says, in my new house, I'm planning to use wired devices. The best way that I found to do that was to put room hubs connected to home assistant by Ethernet, and all the devices and sensors in the room. So do the devices and sensors connect to the hub wirelessly, or do they connect to the hub wired? Yes, that would be my question on that. Hold on. Connect to that hubs. Yes. Can be PoE. Okay. So PoE makes sense. So you can power up these hubs. Interested to see what brand. You can feel free to put links. I don't know if you can, if you're allowed to put links, but you should be able to put links in the channel, in the live. Let us know what you're thinking. Awesome. So let's talk about the other video that other videos that you made. There's a couple that I've seen. I've seen the one about the stats of your car. How did that come? How did you think about that?
I mean, I bought a new truck, and not new, but new to me, and I was like, I gotta integrate this. Everything has to be integrated with Home Assistant. You know what I mean? That's the first thing you think is, this better be able to talk to Home Assistant. So looking around, and there's a Torque Pro app, which I've had for a long time, which talks to OBD2, which is onboard diagnostics, which is you can get a little like dongle, a Bluetooth dongle that plugs into your onboard diagnostics port on your car. I'm not sure about the UK, but in the US, and it can send whatever information is available to your car.
So your mechanical engineer background here, right?
I gotta know all about this stuff.
I wouldn't know where to start. Go ahead.
So there's a lot of different things. I mean, I already had one of these dongles because I was having issues with my car, and I was like, let me check to see what the code is showing. And so I had one, and then I was like, there's got to be a way, and I looked, and there's a Torque integration for Home Assistant, but it's been just left. I think Torque changed something, and no one fixed it. And I'm not a software developer. I'm not really. So I'm just like, there's someone else has got to figure this out. So pretty much I was just looking around, going way deep into the internet. And finally I found someone had a blog where they showed how they did it. They pretty much wrote a little script that takes the information that Torque logs to your phone and then sends it to
Right.
Home Assistant. So
Right.
I just followed their guide. I had a few little issues. It wasn't exact because again, old guides, things are different. But
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I got to make a video. No one knows how to do this. Like I'm like I see people complaining on forums the Torque integration doesn't work, and I'm like, here's this guy who wrote this blog, and it's a little different than that, but I mean, just use that. And I think since some other people have given other ideas, but I mean, having that data is super cool. And I'm having issues with my specific truck because GM, which is the company that manufacturer, some of the data I want they don't give. So oil life is what I really wanted because I wanted to tell me change your oil.
Oh, okay.
Right? That's what I want. I want them to tell me to change my oil. I don't have to know. I can just get a notification on my phone. But the oil life, GM doesn't send it, so it's not available. So I got stuck there. But yeah, I mean, just having car data. I saw someone had their Tesla information in Home Assistant. I'm like, I know I have a Chevy truck, but that should also be in Home Assistant. So I'm not sure how it works in UK and in other countries, but I'm sure there's a way. But.
Yeah, I think I looked at that. I think they've got BMW and Tesla. I have a Nissan Leaf electric car, and it supposedly has an integration. It doesn't work. I actually was trying to go to do a video, and it's so bad. It's the app, Nissan's app. It's just the worst app I have on my phone. It's just they haven't had any investment in it, so I'm not even going to try. But now with the actually energy consumption thing, because I plug in the car, I would actually know when I'm plugging it in. But I haven't set that up yet. But there's cool things. Actually, there's the thing because I'm a data guy. That's what I do my day job. I'm a data engineer, right? So companies now are trying to do all sorts of things with data, right? And that's what we're doing with our homes. What you're saying is there's information that's coming from the car, the truck that I want, and I want to pull it in Home Assistant, and then you can do crazy things in combining things that no one actually thought about. Because a lot of people think, oh yeah, smart homes are just motion sensor, light bulb. That's it. No, it's could be much more than that. It could be truck, oil, and then that does something different. It links to something else, whatever it links to, right? You can link so many things together, but it takes imagination, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's just sometimes you just got to sit down. I do this. What have I not brought into Home Assistant? Because there's something. I mean, the biggest one for me is whole home energy monitoring. I don't have anything to monitor my power, but I'm going to get something because with this new update to Home Assistant, I mean, it'd be awesome. But yeah, there's so much. I want the data, and then I'll do whatever I want with it, but I just need to get it. And what has helped me recently is I started looking into Grafana and InfluxDB. I was just watching Everything Smart Homes video on that and how to set that up. And yeah, I mean that is awesome to be able to trend that data and make smart decisions, based on it. That's awesome.
Yeah, one thing I would say is don't just do the graphs and just look at them. Because that's adding more work for yourself.
Yeah.
What you really want to do is based on the data, based on the trends, some action happens automatically. Because if not, it just ends up that we become just looking at graphs of trends of water consumption, and then we do nothing about it, right? Because if you're not doing anything about it, then it's pointless to collect all this data.
Yeah, it needs to add value. Yeah.
It needs to add value because for sure somebody's going to break it. You're going to have to go fix the Grafana dashboard. And then you think, well, what have I got it for? Just to look at it, go around, right? Why am I interested in capturing the history of temperatures in my house? You could think, am I using it for a reason or not? If you are, good. If not, I don't know.
Probably don't, yeah.
But yeah, that's the hard, difficult thing. And some of the things you just want to do because they look cool. Other things you think, oh, they're really gonna make a difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, So that was that one. And other videos you particularly enjoy. Is there a video that you enjoyed the most on your channel that you did and said, I had so much fun doing this?
It would be that fully kiosk video where I set up that dashboard on the wall. I mean, that was so fun. It looks so good, and I want to do it. Like, I want to do two more in my house. I mean, it's just so awesome. It's like you're living in the future. I mean, it's just nuts to be able to have a dashboard that you can control any aspect of your home by just tapping something on the wall. So I love that one. That was really fun to do. Making the video, I'd say that was probably the funnest to make as well. But yeah, I love that project. That was so fun. So I'm looking for projects like that where it's like, wow, I added value. I had a lot of fun doing it. But that would be my favorite one. And it's gotten pretty good feedback. People have been pretty interested in it. I don't think there was a lot of other videos people showing how to do that. And it's a little complicated, so you do need some sort of step-by-step guide. But I mean, a Fire tablet costs nothing on Amazon, and it's like, okay, now I have a dashboard. And the fact that you can use the camera as an entity in Home Assistant, you can use the sensor, motion sensor. I mean, it's a huge game changer because I have a motion sensor already in my kitchen. I don't need that if I have this tablet there. Mm-hmm. So it's just, I mean, those tablets are not hard. And it's just a little scary cutting into your wall because like you're physically changing your house. But yeah, that was my favorite for sure.
And how stable has it been? Has it been reliable?
Yeah, I mean, so my wife uses it more than I do because she's home. She takes care of the kids at home. Mm-hmm. So she's always using that for something. I mean, check on the kids. Is the kid sleeping or they wake up? Tap the camera and look at the nursery camera. Whatever it is, she's like, are the doors open? She can glance and tell if one of the kids left the door open or went out the door. The best one, I mean, actually the most useful is the sensor we have on a gate at the top of our steps for our toddler, so he doesn't fall down the steps. And I mean, that's probably the most useful because we have a sensor on the gate, and then when the gate opens, it announces the gate's been opened. So my wife can hear that, and she can look at the dashboard and see, the gate's open. So it's super handy for having kids, which, I mean, not everyone who watches my videos has kids, but if you do, I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can do with this.
But a lot of people tell me, smart homes are not safe. Smart homes add vulnerability and issues. But you're actually telling us a story about the fact that with smart homes, you're actually keeping your family safe, which I find really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And before we had the sensor, there were a couple of real close calls with our son, but the gate, I mean, it actually reminds our kids to close it, our older kids. And then if it's not closed, it alerts like, hey, it's been open for a minute. It's been open for 5 minutes. So it's been huge. It's definitely a safety. Yeah, it's definitely adds safety to our home. I'm sure there's other sensors and devices you could use, but that's been probably the most useful in our house, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's great. Let's pause on that 1 second, and we'll get to. I think we got a question from Sebastian talking about data analytics. What do you think about using machine learning for automations? So I think this is going to be the next generation of smart home tech. I'll pick up this question first, and then Aaron, feel free to chip in and fill in your opinions. But machine learning, basically for people that don't know, is we can train things. So let's say a camera, right? We can train it to do object detection. So we can train it to say, hey, this is a pen or this is something else. And based on that, you could get so much more information and so much more intelligence. Now, one of the simplest examples are doorbells, right? So with machine learning, are you able to recognize people's faces? If it's a familiar face, are you going to automatically open the door for them, right? I mean, this sounds dangerous, probably is at this stage of the technology, but that's sort of the idea. You could do a lot with machine learning. I actually have my brother-in-law, which he's He's a physicist, a data scientist, and we were actually thinking to do something with machine learning soon. I can't promise anything. Maybe in a few months, we'll do some cool project with machine learning and smart homes. But I'll leave it to that.
Yeah, there's definitely a benefit to it. Yeah, like you're saying, it's probably the next generation. I mean, there's just things that that you see and you go, okay, that could benefit from it. I mean, one of the examples is robotic vacuum. I mean, I have like a Roomba, iRobot Roomba, and it's one of the earlier ones. It's not that great.
Yeah.
But it can't tell when it looks at something on the floor. That is something I've gotten stuck on in the past. I should not drive over it if there's something on the floor. It has no way to know, and so it'll get stuck on the same thing multiple times. And I really think that the ability for smart home tech like smart robots to learn, I got stuck on that, not going to happen again, I'm going around that kind of stuff it would make my wife and I pretty happy if that didn't happen, because nothing like getting a notification, your vacuum is stuck, and it's like it just started 10 minutes ago, and then you go, oh, it's the same thing. And if it's a feature about your house, a way to avoid that. So there may be stuff like that already out there, but I think that's an example. Machine learning will come in.
Yeah.
And help with that.
And also, how can you talk about the vacuum cleaner? How can you predict when your vacuum needs to run? Okay, so this is a huge thing to think of, right? Can I, instead of it's 30, press the button, or instead of it randomly, on a routine, always cleaning, right? Can I actually find out if it's dirty? Like it detects, it detects or food has gone on the floor, and then it goes off and cleans it automatically. That's going to be next level. Like, you drop something on the floor and the robot just kicks off, picks it up and goes back to base. And maybe there are models like high end that doesn't do that already. But that would be very interesting.
Yeah, I think when it comes also to energy usage too, heating and cooling systems, there's got to be ways to where they know how they should heat. And I think they sort of try that. Like I have some Nest thermostats, and it seems like they have an idea of how long it's going to take, but it needs further development. But
it never worked, right? Did it work for you? Because I've got it. It never worked. I turned it off. I give it a week and turned it off, and I put it on manual.
Yep, manual's the way to go. Yeah. So, but there's definitely room for improvement. I think Home Assistant could be right there in the middle of it. You know what I mean? But yeah,
our Home Assistant have got a tremendous amount of integrations. I mean, last count 1,700 integrations. So it's huge. It's huge. And there's a big community. They're certainly there to win. The challenge will be, and I think this is what we're missing is for how do we have installers coming in? So how do we have someone that doesn't want to learn how to code or doesn't want to learn anything about Home Assistant? They just want Home Assistant. They might want automations. They might want dashboards and buttons. But they don't want to get involved with anything, like a fully paid service. A bit like with companies in the past, they used to have servers, right? And you used to have engineers working on the servers, and then we moved to cloud, right? Where everything is done for you and you're just doing it as a service, you're paying it. In our example, we don't want to go to cloud. We don't like it. We want to be local, right? But we don't want, ordinary people don't want the effort of maintaining, updating, reading the release notes, watching all these videos of us talking about it. So there's a group of the population that just wants the smart stuff to happen without necessarily really understanding how it works. If you think, how many people understand how the internet works compared to how many people use it? How many people use electricity but don't know how electricity works? They know it's dangerous, but most people don't know how it works, right? So that's the battle, and I don't think there's going to be this huge market for installers, providers, new businesses to come up and actually be smart home installers. And I would say use Home Assistant, but then again, I don't know the legalities, right? The being open source and how that would work. But I feel that would be in the next few years the best way to get Home Assistant in as many homes as possible.
Yeah, I thought about that a lot. Like you're saying that, you probably can't sell Home Assistant as a software, but you can sell the service of installing it. So there's probably somewhere in the middle. And I noticed two of our main hardware stores that I've gone to during the pandemic for getting supplies and stuff. Two of the main stores, there's smart devices there, and people are walking up to them, and they're like, they're looking at these, and they go, oh, they're going to buy it. And you got to wonder how many of them actually know what it is to maintain a smart home, and how many of them would say, well, maybe not. I'd have to maintain this. And I feel like knowing that, even if it's being able to buy a system and knowing you'll have support might make more people get into it.
Yeah. I mean, there's people that don't want to clean, they have cleaners, people have gardeners, there's all sorts of part of the population where, let's talk in practical terms, right? So put a question up for everyone that's watching live. I thank everyone that's sort of joined midway. So we're trying to think about this. What do you think about the future of Home Assistant? How do we get Home Assistant in as many homes as possible? How do we get it forward, right? One reason is doing these lives. We're giving it visibility, new channels, right? Certainly that's great. We're sort of thinking about what can we do to accelerate it. So if you got any comments, put them in the chat, but we also talk about other topics as usual. So what do you think about the future of Home Assistant?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure because I just got into it, but I will say it's coming to a lot more people. I mean, I really think it's becoming easy to use like it never was before. And it's like, you don't have to be a veteran. You don't have to know Python. There's so much that you just click and install. And I think, that, and it has an advantage, over some of these other ones that are more well-established that are cloud-based. You have Google and you have Amazon, their whole smart ecosystem. And while they're great, they have quirks that end up being deal breakers for the entire platform. And so someone has to pick now, do I want this one or this one? And it's like Google, I can't even automate pretty much. And then it's like, or it's like Amazon, well, it's all cloud and they're evil. We don't like them. Some people think, or, but there's some features they don't have, or I'm all into Google with everything else. And it's like, but being able to have a third one that's like, sure, integrate whatever you want. I think that'll come to more people, but I still think there's things that are just so difficult that you're going to have someone help you, or you'll be put off by it. My coming into Home Assistant, I knew about it a couple of years, I'd say, before I got it. And what held me off was, I just started looking at how complicated it was. I watched the hookup video on how to install it on a VM, and I was like, I'm done. Nope. But then it's like Home Assistant Blue came, and it's like, okay, they're selling me something that's already pre-installed. Okay.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah.
And if they sell more of those, it's going to go in everyone's homes. I think that's the big hurdle, because it just discovers stuff on your network. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, indeed. I think that's awesome. It's just that, like if you think, right, let's take, for example, the fully kiosk example. How long did you think it took you from the idea, like I want to put fully kiosk on the Fire tablet, actually having it? Maybe let's exclude the actual, mounting, the actual tablet part. How long do you think that take you?
Oh, it took a couple minutes. It really doesn't take long to put it on there.
No. I mean, to do the fully kiosk installation from scratch.
Oh, I'd say I'm not sure exactly how long it took me because I played around with it a lot. But you could do that. You could do that in an hour.
But someone that's never done it before, right?
Someone's never done it, that would be complicated. That would be,
Yeah. I mean, you could do it in an hour again, but someone that hasn't done it,
no. I mean, you get stuck. You would get stuck part where you wouldn't be able to do it, most likely.
Yeah.
I mean,
and pick people that not, they're not savvy, right? That's why there's a space in this whole conversation of, well, what if you supplied that to someone as a service, right? And someone came to you and said, hey, I like this dashboard you have. I really like it. I want one. Here's the money for the Fire tablet. Can you please, get me the blue, get me everything, and could you install it for me? And as we have all sorts of trades, right? Carpenters, locksmiths, plumbers, electricians, but we don't really have people like, IT guys, many IT guys. They're not as common as the good old plumbers, right? They go around houses. But for me, what I'm trying to say is, as you have a smart home, right, that sort of requires another trade to take care of it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, a lot of people who start smart homes, I guarantee you, they're also the guy who their family calls when they have computer problems, right? Because they have just some base level of understanding of how things work to start. And yeah, I think that there would have to be some sort of, service. Like you're saying, it's another utility, right?
It's another utility. It is.
But if the cost savings is there, I think it's definitely the way to go. Like Dave's saying there in the comment, smart homes go way beyond just I can turn something on and off with my phone. Just having a Smart Life app on your phone to control your Toyota devices is not a smart home. And I think if you want to save money, you could save money and you could pay someone to maintain it. So.
Yeah. Hold that thought. Remind me, I need to talk about how you can make money with smart homes. We'll get to that in a bit. Like you say, let's have a quick glance through the comments. So welcome, Dave, to the live. One of the sensors that my wife appreciates is a rain sensor. Alerts us if it's raining and a washer needs to be brought in. That's a great idea.
I'm doing that. I'm doing it. That's awesome.
Yeah, he made a 3D printed housing with the Ekara leak detector connected to a simple rain sensor circuit board. That's awesome. I know you've already sent me. I ever forgot you sent me a project by email. So actually, I've got my email in the channel, and feel free to send me any projects. I have got in my to-do list to do a video about the community projects, people's projects basically, and to talk about them. I haven't forgot. You sent that. At the moment, Home Assistant is a clearly rate of development. Yeah, so this was about Home Assistant. So Home Assistant is really pumping out so many features that we are content creators. I can't even keep up. I mean, I went on holiday a month and I was lost. And then by the time I got back into it, energy monitoring was out. Right, so there's a lot to pick up on that.
Just a comment on that. It's when I first started with Home Assistant, I didn't realize how often. And I'm working on something. I'm watching someone's video how to do something. I forget what it was about, and I'm like, that's not how it works for me. Like, I'm not seeing it. Like, it doesn't look that way. I'm like, this is a new video. And then some other 5 tips for Home Assistant or whatever video was like, check the updates, like check for updates. And I look and I'm like way behind. And I'm like, oh, you got to keep checking. Like, it doesn't tell you new update, so you got to, follow the, Home Assistant on Twitter or whatever it is to be notified there's an update. So now I'm like regularly checking for updates because, you got, and it's a lot of work, but it's also awesome to see they're dedicated. Like, this is cool. I mean, Google's not dedicated to their, Google Home, app. They're not dedicated. I mean, they have not developed it. But Home Assistant, it's like they're constantly going. They have ways that you can request changes. Like it's awesome. It's awesome. I think it's a smart homer's dream for sure.
It is. I'm not too sure. I've never talked to them about if they have roadmaps, they have product plans, because what it seems for me, that it's a lot of techie guys, a lot of software guys running this. And I question the fact that could it be the time that you, instead of hiring another developer, you actually need someone that more product oriented, actually thinks of, let's keep it a bit more stable. Let's not pump out so many features, but let's spread out the adoption, right? And because every time there's an update, things change. Sometimes they change substantially. You're like, hey, hold on. I'm like taken aback, right?
So you're not ready for it.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how they play it out. Interesting to follow. I'm sure it'll be awesome. Okay. So Dave's saying, I think people get confused and describe automated homes with simple remote switching off devices on and off as smart, but they are not smart. Smart homes need to include some logic to the automation. Yeah. So the logic to the automation is the difficult part for me to think of, because you can't really. Everyone lives their life in a different way. Right? An automation might work for someone, might not work for someone else, right? Like the thing with the gate, right? Is specific to your use case. So how do you get someone to say, hey, I want you to tell me if the gate has been, if my toddler's gate has been opened, and you send that request to third party person, I don't know, someone on Fiverr, whatever, and they come back with the code, right? And they create the automation for you. Because if you don't know how to do it, you would have no clue, right?
Yeah, you need someone who can support that. Yeah.
So that would be, again, if someone's young in their IT career and they want to go for it, think about it. I don't know.
Yeah, and he's right about that. About there, true to smart home, there's logic, and I mean, when I first started, I think of my first time I was officially had a smart home was when I bought a Google Home Mini and a Tekken smart plug, and it was like, okay, I can turn on, my lamps by voice, but that's like, I mean, that's so far from where it's come. But most people, that's what they think of smart home. Oh, you can remotely, turn on devices, and they don't really know how far you can go. And I feel like I was blind to it until I found Home Assistant. Really, I mean, the Amazon routines, they're good. I mean, they're a good start. But yeah, I mean, it's way more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I had a neighbor coming over for tea time, and we were just catching up. It's the first time actually we met in person since the whole pandemic thing started. And it was like, what have you been doing? And I said, I've been doing this. I've been doing smart home stuff, and I've been doing a YouTube channel. This is what I was doing, right? And I was like, oh yeah, but I got to the light bulbs and that's it. So it's like you say, the most common thing when someone says smart homes for the large population, just, oh yeah, those are the light bulbs that turn on and turn off, and that stays at that. So next thing, so anyway, let's carry on. Okay, so I think this was about the rain sensor. Yeah, the question from Gunnar and Dave churning along. Okay, so there's a point about Sebastian raises a point about Matter. So Matter will become a challenge for Home Assistant and its community. What do you think, Aaron?
I don't know. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it actually is rolled out. I mean, I'm not like bashing it. It was a lot of talk, but now they just delayed it. So I'm not against it. I mean, I think that's cool. I think it's really cool. They want to just unify everything. And yeah, it could be a challenge because it could be a lot easier to do what Home Assistant does without Home Assistant. But I still think that Home Assistant is still, I think, years ahead of any other system. So that, I mean, and it has dedicated developers. I mean, it may be a challenge, but I still think Home Assistant is just so far ahead. And maybe I'm just a big Home Assistant fan, but I think it will take a lot of effort to catch up. Now, there are companies that will back it. Open source. They don't have the funds maybe that others do. So
it's what I think is called, what we can call the long tail, right? So what would the popular brands will go with, who's the most popular in the most biggest companies, right? Let's iterate the big guys, and they know that's going to make the big percentage in their market share. But like, Home Assistant has 1,700 plus integrations. I mean, it's probably like if you saw something that you didn't know that wasn't integrated and you wanted to do it, you could just do it, right? You could just jump in and contribute. And that's, I think, the big game changer. They've got so many integrations that they've done. Yeah, it's huge. And even if not many people probably are using them, yeah, and I'm sure that's the biggest ones. I think a few releases ago they released the analytics, right, where you could find out what integrations are most used.
Yeah. That's pretty cool to see. What percentage of installations use what. That's pretty cool.
And that's really gold for them, because if they need to release this feature and they will break this integration that only one person uses, they'll be fine with that, right? I mean, they still put the breaking change and they'll put everything, but they will sacrifice that for the the better experience for the bigger wider group, right? Yeah. Okay, so we have AH9. Well, let me just skip to that one second. But Andrew's just thanking me, but I thank you too. And please check out Aaron's channel too, because he's really seeing awesome content at Make It Work. Link in the description below. Thanks, Andrew, and thanks also for sending me the email, which I will get back to you after this. But let's jump into the question. AH92. I found the dashboard customization part is tricky for newbies. 100% agree with that. I guess once done integration between HR sensors and gateways, the front end should propose some default dashboards that really add values. I'll quickly answer that quickly. So from when I started to now, it improved massively. At the beginning, it was really ugly or very bad, the default dashboard, and it improved slightly now. It got decent. It doesn't look as good as the dashboard that you've seen in one of my videos or one of Aaron's videos, but it is usable for someone that's just starting out. But yeah, they could do much more.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was okay for me, but when you have a massive amount of devices, so I had about like 50 something Tuya devices on the Smart Life app, and they just flood in, right, when you add the integration. And then it's like, okay, well, I can't make sense of all this. It'd be nice if they even broke it up by pages, where you had one page for one room or whatever it is, or if they could bring in, I don't know, if they could make it a little bit clearer, like if they could tell from the Tuya integration, what room was this in, put that on a separate page. Because I think when I first started, I was like, whoa, there's so much here. I didn't know where to start. And yeah, I agree that it's a little tough at first. And then of course, when you have when there's cards that you can't use the visual interface to actually create the card, that becomes a problem. But as they add more cards as default or as supported natively, I think it'll be better.
Yeah, and then you've got the custom cards also from the Hack Store, which adds its own baggage. There are cool cards, but then you're going to need to manage that, and there's other updates you need to manage, because each front-end device in Hacks, you need to update it yourself. So yeah, I mean, themes and all sorts of things. So I'm actually working on, one of my courses all about dashboards and trying to put templates in there. So what I'm trying to do is trying to create templates that people can reuse. But that takes a lot of time. But I'm pretty sure HA they will do the same thing. They'll try to create templates for people for dashboards to spin up at the beginning. I'm sure we'll get to that.
I'm sure.
Awesome. So let's give it another 5 to 10 minutes. I think an hour and a half. Don't want to keep you too long because you have the rest of your Sunday to enjoy. So what can we expect of the future of your channel? Where do you see this going? And what sort of drives you forward?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I I mean, it's only upwards from here. I think there's going to be a lot more videos as I get more time, as I get better at doing it. There's going to be a lot more videos. I've had talks with one of my buddies who is a fellow engineer, and he wants to get into some machine learning and some other areas. And I think integrating that stuff with Home Assistant, there are so many DIY projects that you could show simply how to do that anyone could do. And I want to get into a little bit more of that. So right now, it's mostly just basic stuff with Home Assistant, but I think there is room for the DIY side, and of course there's got to be some sort of financial reward for it. So hopefully the YouTube partner program would be the way forward. But I have just tons of ideas in my head, and only one person to to get them out.
Yeah.
But I think there's just so much you can do. And I mean, I don't think I'll get tired of it, because I think sharing ideas is, what the community is all about. I mean, Reddit will show you that there's so much stuff, and everyone wants to see it. So I think there's that's the future. I think there's lots more.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think from my point of view, when I watched so much YouTube before, I just take it for granted. You take the videos for granted, and you obviously used to watching the big players, which have huge production quality. But when you actually do it yourself, you then think, wow, this takes a huge amount of time. There's a lot of research that goes into some of these videos, and the devices cost money, right? So I fully appreciate your goal of trying to get to the partnership program, which basically means that YouTube gives the content creator a cut of the ads. So that's what the partnership program is. So it makes it in a way that the content creators get something back, so they can actually buy all these 10 contact sensors and all that stuff. So
yeah, and I think what it comes down to is, the ability to do what you love, full time. Is awesome. And some people have it. They go to work, and their job that they've chosen is what they love. And it's that's great. That's a career. I mean, you got something. So, I think YouTube provides a way of doing that. And I think you're saying, when you make your own videos, you realize wow, 59 gigabytes of footage for some short 10, 15-minute video. You're like, I cannot believe how much work that is. And it actually makes you value a simple clicking the like button.
That's true.
There's way more value when you start.
Way more. I mean,
wow.
I was never why is this guy always asking me to smash that like button? Oh, come on, stop it, right? And I was like, yeah, I didn't do it much. I didn't comment either. I was quite shy. I never commented on people's videos. And now that I'm doing this, and I'm thinking, no, I'm commenting always positive. I never say anything negative, because if it's negative, I don't say it, because the internet's full of negative stuff anyway. Yeah. But if it's good criticism and it makes sense, then good. But you just find a tendency when you start creating videos, you do likes, you do much more things than
you realize where they're coming from, and you're like, okay, well, this person is trying, and some encouragement will make them do better. And it's if you genuinely liked it, I mean, that's what those buttons are there for. If you did like it, hit it. I mean, it's worth it.
But it is the purpose of this show. What I'm trying to do is find good quality content creators passionate about Home Assistant or smart homes, and just bring them on, have a chat, and then everyone can find your videos, and we have better videos coming for the future, and it benefits everyone.
I appreciate it. I tell you what, I think this format is, you see like this podcast style, it's out there for a lot of different, areas just of industry. But I think smart home, there's not a lot. Mm-hmm. I think, this is good. I really appreciate you having me on. I think it's a great way to have discussion. If you think about in your local community, there's probably not a ton of people who you can have discussions with about smart home, especially Home Assistant, and they actually know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But when you have something like this, you're on the same page. You don't have to, explain basic things, and you can, I think you can get good ideas and really get good ideas out there.
Yeah. It's like the Renaissance, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's take last questions here. We have one from Dave, I think it would be great if Home Assistant could have a standard home alarm system integrating presence detection, door sensors, etc. So they have that alarm panel they have so far. So the alarm panel comes in with a Lovelace dashboard. You have all the numbers, and then behind that you have a mechanism basically to create a code, and then you can arm the alarm and have it in triggered state. But you know what? I think it's a great idea, Dave, what you're saying, and it could happen. They could find a way to sort of make that process easier.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that would be awesome. I think it's really cool that they do these kind of things like this energy monitoring. I mean, you can build your own energy monitoring, um, I guess system, but it's cool to integrate it. And I think, yeah, the more of these kind of things they do, the better.
Awesome. Oh, it seems that we have it's the first ever super chat. Would like to. I just hit like. No, thank you, Andrew, for that.
Thanks, Andrew.
$10, and it goes a long way towards this whole adventure that we're doing. So awesome. See, I told you I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Andrew.
Very, very appreciate it a lot. Cool. So yeah. So I agree. How can we submit ideas to Home Assistant? What is the best way?
There's forums. I mean, there's also if you can follow the developers on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that may be. I'm not sure the official way, but there's developers for different of the integrations, like the supported integrations. Like you can create pull requests for the ZHA developers. So if there's something that you want them to check out, you can do that. So there are ways, all in the documentation somewhere. You can find it. But I think it's really cool to be able to follow them and reach out to them on social media. I think they're regular guys.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they do a lot of work. Like Frank is one of them, I believe, and he does
Yeah.
quite a bit of stuff. Like he wrote the blueprint for the IKEA Tradford remote. And I mean, follow them on Twitter. You can see what they're doing. And
But they're full time, right? They're full time employees,
I think
as
so,
far as I
yeah.
understand, right? So I think what happens probably is they got a full time work. They're working on the next release or working on bugs, right? And then they have the extra things they do, like that blueprint, and because I think they enjoy it so much that they not only they do as much as possible. So
Yeah,
so
sure.
awesome. And also, there's another huge podcast I enjoy a lot is the Smart Home Collective podcast.
Yeah, I saw that.
And you saw that, yeah. So go check that out. I think that there's an episode coming out soon with Frank and
cool.
with Lewis from Everything Smart Home, and they'll be chatting about stuff. So that podcast is one to watch also.
Cool. Yeah.
So that's just audio only, but they have I think the copy of it is on YouTube, but also on wherever you listen to podcasts. So if you're into it, I would listen to it for sure. Right. I would say any closing remarks from you, and we'll wrap it up.
I really appreciate you having me on here. Yeah, I mean, I'm really new to Home Assistant. Like, I'm not one of those been here since the beginning.
Yeah,
I'm just loving it. I'm eating it up, and it's like I'm constantly making changes, and I really love to be able to share with everyone. I mean, that's my big thing. I like to share this stuff. I want people to share with me. So I encourage in my videos, leave comments what you did. I want to hear what other people did, because anything I can implement, like that rain sensor, that's going on my list for sure. So also, reach out to me wherever, Facebook or my email, wherever. And yeah, I'd like to hear ideas.
Right. Awesome. Well, Dave, subscribe to your channel.
Thanks,
which,
Dave.
That's awesome. And we also have Sebastian sort of thanking us both. And I will thank you all for watching this live stream. This was Gio from Smart Home Makers. This was the Smart Home Makers show. If you have any guests or any topics that you would like me to bring, on the channel, then drop a comment in, and I will see if I can reach out to them to actually bring them on, or even bring more people on. Right? We'll see. But we'll see when we can do the next one soon, and see you in the next one. And thanks again, Aaron, for coming and for taking the time to answer the questions. See you guys.
See you.